Google, play lo-fi music station.
Okay, here's a Spotify playlist called Lo-Fi Beats.
Hey Google, volume to 2. It's still too loud. Hey Google, volume to 2. There we go, that's better. Welcome, chat. Just got back from my locals. Hello. Yeah. So I just got back from my locals. And as you can tell by the title, I tried out the Ryzeal deck. The Ryzeal Teller Knights. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say this deck is not for everyone. Because while it's not tier 0, it's definitely a tier 1 deck. It's very strong, it's very competitive, and it's definitely something that the Teller Knights have been looking for a long time to make them competitively viable. As you know me, I've been playing the deck for a long time. Man, I feel like I should just make this into a video instead of a live stream because, you know, not everybody's on here at the same time. But I'll be putting up a deck profile sometime this week of a Teller Knight Ryzeal, and then I feel like, man, I feel like I'm going to scrap it. Because while you can say on surface that you're playing Teller Knights, it's a Ryzeal deck with the Teller Knight engine. And I know some people don't care for that. Some people are okay with that. But at some point, and this was all like online testing, and I'm like, this is, you know, maybe I'm overreacting, right? But no, it really feels like you're playing Ryzeal, and Teller Knights just like are not needed to be there. So yeah, Ryzeal itself is a great deck. It does have synergy with Teller Knights. However, to call it a Teller Knight deck, for me, that matters to me. If it doesn't matter for you, then by all means you can play it. But it's basically 11 cards for the Ryzeals, and for Teller Knights, if you're not playing the what do you call it? If you're not playing the Paradise version, first, you're not doing yourself justice. I don't think that there's a board that you can make that is somehow better than that. Because I know Paradise is not optimal, and it doesn't. You still don't end on Teller Knights. The fact that you're locking because Teller Knights by themselves, they're a very rogue deck. They're not as good as other rogue decks. And that's because we struggle to have a boss monster on the board, you know? And I think the best non-generic, we shied away from Appaloosa already because that was the play before. So what the Ryzeal deck kind of looks like, it's, as I'm building it in front of you, even having, and this is the Paradise version, which I think is a good version of the deck. I think this version of the deck really makes Teller Knights strong, because without it, Teller Knights by themselves, man, it's it doesn't put up anything, you know? It's and I find it weird that people all this time, they're like, oh, Ryzeals are coming out, are you gonna put it in your Teller Knights? And why aren't you putting it in your Teller Knights? You know, my initial reaction was, why would I put it in the Teller Knights? It doesn't really, it locks us into 4s. It really, I feel like we're there to help out the Ryzeal deck. And when I was playing today, few things I noticed is that, like, man, I mean, some of the best Teller Knight cards, which is like this and Alteran, like they get in the way of a Ryzeal, man. If you have anything but those cards, like you would be cooking, but you're not. You're solely relying on I mean, it doesn't work. It works as in like you can make a rank 4 and go into your Paradise before you even commit to your Ryzeal, but it doesn't feel good. I was playing today, and I swear to God, like it was just Ryzeals. I feel like my opponent wouldn't even notice if I didn't play the Teller Knight package. Oh yeah. Oh, where's the note? Sorry. There's no point of cutting node to 1. I mean, it's still better than any of the Teller Knights. It specials itself. They're like the better version of the Teller Knights. So that's why when people think that there's like a synergy there, I mean, the one loss, I won 3-1, right? I'm not saying that it's bad, but I feel like the Ryzeal is the ones that are like carrying the deck, like heavily. Like I feel like if you take the Teller Knights out of the equation, nobody would even bat an eye. Where's my Teller Knight build? I just want to make sure I got everything included there. This was in the side. And again, like you don't have to run. Where's my stream lagging? Little Knight is good. And another reason why I'm like I don't like Ryzeal right off the bat is because it loses to D barrier, man. It's so like XC based that the whole D barrier thing just shuts it down, and Chaos Angel shuts it down. So what I want to do now is I want to replicate the deck that I have, which was Ash Blossom. To be fair, the game that I did lose, the guy did have Molcharmy and Nib. That's another thing. You get Nib because you don't have that Fiendsmith protection, and I don't know how good the recursion of this is. But then again, I'm like relatively new to the deck, but I know enough to know that this is a Ryzeal deck with few Teller Knight cards in there. Trust me, I even cut down Liren to 2 because I was bricking on it. Liren was a brick in the deck. I kid you not. And that store had the Fiendsmith engine, and I was just staring at it. I was staring at it because I'm like, I was debating going back to it again. I felt like I made a mistake, and I should go back. Because, man, normal summon ice just sounds so good though, you know? Maybe I'm just not used to like having a tier 1 deck. And then the armored cards, I saw those a lot. The armored cards kept getting stopped. But I still like them. I still like the armored cards. I really think they put in a lot of work. I just think they put in better work in the Teller Knights than in the Ryzeal. Droll and Logbird put in work. Did not draw a cross out. I'm trying to I'm separating my main and my side. I mean, part of me is like optimistic. Maybe I'll get better at it. By the way, is my stream lagging, guys, or are we okay? What's that one place called? So, right now I'll tell you why this deck is great, and I'll tell you why it's bad. I just don't think, like, right off the bat, you know, you're looking and you're like, man, this has to work. It's with Teller Knights, but Teller Knights feel bad with this because, like, you're running a limited amount of them. You're mainly running Ryzeals, and any Ryzeal by itself is a combo. Having a Teller Knight in hand does not feel good anymore. Sometimes you even struggle when before you wouldn't. You know, if you have like what do you call her in hand? Any Teller Knight in hand. Hold on. When you have a Nukolai in hand and Liren, you're like, oh cool, full combo. Not anymore. Now you're like, I have Bonfire. Should I just go this route?